Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. I'm so glad that you landed on my channel or you came back. I am in zone 7B. I'm in the state of Tennessee. And y'all, it's time. I know I've been saying that, but y'all, the summer garden is like, it's close. It's close. So at the time of this video, we're about 9.5 weeks before the last frost date. In this video, I'm gonna get my plan together and I'm gonna show you how I do it, okay? So in this video, I wanna talk about the essential and the importance of having a crop plan. Now that's just a fancy way of saying, do you know where all your stuff is going to go, okay? So you got all your seeds, you're seed rich, you're seed happy, you started seeds by now, most of you, or you're about to start seeds. And you know how us gardeners get, we just get excited, right? We get excited, but planning and being intentional is gonna give you a far more productive garden than just being willy-nilly and happenstance. So it's important that as you are starting your seeds, as you're buying transplants, that you have an idea, a really good idea of where you are going to place stuff in your garden and how much of it you need. That's essentially what a crop plan is. You are planning out where your crops are going to go and how many you need. Now, this is not the sexy part, right? Going through the seed catalogs, ordering your seeds, and doing all the things. That's the sexy part. This is not the sexy part, but I have found it's really essential. And especially for me, as I keep expanding my garden, it's really important for things not to live in my head, but to live on paper. So this is like headquarters. This is my sunroom, but it's like seed headquarters central during this time of the year. So what you didn't see before I turned on the video, y'all, this table was, it still looked like a hot mess, but it was really a hot mess. Like seeds were everywhere. So I kind of started putting, and a lot of the new seeds that I had gotten in, that's what was on the table. All my seed haul was in, and all that stuff. And I got one more seed haul. Just one more for today, okay? But anyway, this table was covered with seeds from all of the new seeds that I had bought. So I put them kind of in their categories, tomatoes with tomatoes, all that, to kind of clear the space and give me a space. I had my little homestead channels going on my videos, watching videos. I was working, I was doing things and all that. But I started to think about my crop plan. And here's the thing that really got me, like it's been on my to-do list to do it. And I'll admit, like it's not one of my favorite things to do, but once I get in it and start doing it, I'm like, okay. But emails started coming through about things that I've ordered and they're like on the way. And I'm like, oh man, that's on the way. So I've ordered some strawberries. They will be here probably next week. I didn't do strawberries last year. I did them the year before that. So we're gonna try it yet again. And I'll do a video and tell you what I'm gonna do differently this time. Then my onions that I've ordered should be on the way in about 2 weeks. So before all of this stuff comes in and I just like start putting it somewhere and not having a clear plan, let me get a plan, okay? Let me get a plan. So let me show you kind of how I do it. And again, you can do it however you want, but essentially to me, no matter how big or how small your garden is, you should know where things are going. This is what happens when you don't know. You overbuy, you overplant, you got stuff crowded because you're like, I didn't started to see this plant, this transplant looks good. It's gonna get in here. Like I'm gonna put this in here, and your spacing is off. So then your plants don't thrive as much, or you're short. You're like, man, I got open space. I didn't start enough seeds. Okay, let me go buy some transplants. And there's nothing wrong with buying transplants. But again, if you would have maybe had an intentional plan, maybe you would have started more seed and not ended up short, so to speak, right? Or you've overbought and you're like, I don't have a place to put this, right? So that's why it's important to have a plan, no matter how big or how small. So I encourage you, get your plan together. The other thing it does is help you think about, or it should, and we're gonna talk about this, is succession planning. So depending on what zone you're in and how long your growing season is. So in zone 7, we have a long growing season. It's like 180 days, right? So from like end of April until like October, we can grow some stuff, right? So when it comes to things that have a very short maturity date, like a squash that's like 50 to 60 days, green beans, 50 to 60 days, I can have multiple successions. I can replant that stuff and have multiple harvests. I don't just plant my squash in April or in May and then that's it. I mean, I could if I don't want it anymore, but I can plant in May, I can plant in June, I can plant in July, I can plant in August, and I might even be able to plant in September, right? So again, you have to think about where you're gonna put it and how soon that crop is going to turn over, and do you have time to put something else in there? So instead of me doing all this talking, let me show you some visuals and let's get to it. So let me show you the sheets that I have. So I have, for those that are new, I have 3 main spaces that I am growing in. So behind my house, right behind me, is where my garden started. I have 5 raised beds. I started with 4, then added an additional 1 like the next year. So I have 5 raised beds behind my house. They are 4 by 8. Okay, so that's space number 1 that I am planting in. Space number 2 is my high tunnel. So I have a high tunnel that's 30 by 96. In that high tunnel, I have 6 raised beds, and then I have 5 rows in ground in the tunnel that are roughly around 40 feet long, okay? Then I have an outside in-ground space that I use in the summertime, and that is 40, hold on. I think it's 40 by 100. So it's a 4,000 square foot garden, and I have seven rows that are 100 feet long. So y'all, I got some space, but you know, of course, I still think I need more space, right? For the things that I want to do. So those are the spaces that I am planning for, right? And so I have to be intentional about what do I want in the back of my house? What do I want in the in-ground space? What do I want in the tunnel? Now, your space may be way bigger than that. Your space may be way less than that. But either way, if you just have 15 containers and you're doing container gardening, I still want you to plot and plan what's going to go in those containers, right? Think about, are all your containers the same size, right? If not, then there may be a certain crop that needs to go in one that's not another. Are all the containers on the same side of the house and get the same amount of sun, right? That's something to think about when you're thinking about what you're going to plant in the container. So all of those different things matter. So I don't want you to think, well, man, she got a lot of space. That's why she need to plan. I ain't got but 15 pots. You know, I'm going to do some tomatoes and peppers and that's it. And I don't have to plan. No. If you plan and think about it, I guarantee you there's going to be an aha moment. There's going to be something like, oh, yeah. Let me do this. Oh, I didn't think about that, right? So let's get to it. So what I have are these sheets, right? And so this is just a visual representation of my space that, you know, somebody on my team did for me on the computer, right? But you can just draw this out. So I have a sheet for the greenhouse, so you can see exactly what I talked about. I have 6 raised beds. These are the 2 circular metal raised beds. These are my 5 rows, okay? So that's the greenhouse. Then I have my in-ground space. So you can see all the rows kind of laid out. Ain't nothing fancy, y'all. Nothing fancy. You can draw this on a piece of paper. And then this is my raised bed. Those are the 5 raised beds, okay? So you can kind of see, again, visually for me, I've kind of laid it out, and I think that's what's best. So if you have 15 containers, then get you a piece of paper and draw you 15 circles, okay? If that's the easiest way for you to do it. The other thing is that I looked at the plan that I had last year. So what I just showed you is my draft for 2024. This is what I had last year in 2023, okay? So the reason why that's important is because as much as possible, you don't want to plant the same crop in the same place every single time. You want to rotate your crops. Why? Because if you plant it in the same space every time, it's more prone to disease, it's more prone to, you know, fungal infection, and then the soil may be depleted from what it needs, right? So if you think about tomatoes need a lot of, or corn, let's say corn, needs a lot of nitrogen. So it's a nitrogen suck. So if you continue to plant in that space, corn, over and over, your soil is depleted. Versus if you plant corn in that space, that's sucking a lot of nitrogen, and then behind it, the next season you plant beans, which may be leak nitrogen or are nitrogen rich, it'll put more nitrogen back into your soil. So as much as possible, you want to rotate your crops. So for me, for the most part, I remember where stuff is, but I even get like, what row was that in? Or where did I have that? So that's why it's important to have a crop plan to reference and follow, so that you can go back and see where things were the year before and the year before that. Now, I have an exception on mine that I'm gonna plant something in the same space again, and that is in my watermelon patch in my in-ground space. And the only reason is because that particular space that we did last year for the first time is, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 3 feet wide just for that. So we don't have the 18-inch spacing, I think, like we do on the other rows. So it was designed, that space, for watermelons, right? So they have space to roam and all of that. And right now, if I plant them in any other row, they're not gonna have that space. Does that make sense? So they're gonna have to go in the same space, and we're gonna pray over it, okay? So I'm telling you what is ideal, but sometimes you can't do what's ideal, okay? So you wanna reference what was in your plan last year and rotate your crops as much as you can, okay? The other thing I want you to think about is when certain crops are going to be harvested, and then you may have more time in your growing season. So for example, behind me in my raised beds right now, those 5 raised beds, I have 2 that are just flowers, and then I have 3 that have my garlic in it, okay? We planted that garlic together back in October. And so that garlic is gonna be ready to harvest towards the end of May, the first part of June, right? So as I'm planning, I'm thinking about, okay, I may be planting in my tunnel at the 1st of May. I may be planting outside the 1st of May, but more than likely, I'm not gonna have these beds empty until June for the garlic, okay? So I'm thinking about, well, what do I wanna plant out here versus, in there? And so what I did was, and this is a tentative plan, like I always do it in pencil first, and kind of see where everything is. This is like the first iteration, okay? So right now, I have 3 beds of garlic, and what I'm going to plant behind it in June, once the garlic comes out, 1 bed I'm gonna do green beans, right? I'm gonna do a bush green bean and do it. And I chose that because last year my green beans did not do well at all. In the in-ground space, nothing. I tried them in my tunnel, I got very meager. So I did not really, I think I had like 1 bag of green beans to freeze. That was it. So I've never done green beans back here, so I'm gonna try it back here. Now, 2 years ago, I did green beans in my tunnel and they did fine. So, yeah, again, go figure. But that's another thing to think about when you have multiple spaces, is sometimes I will grow the same thing in 2 of the 3 spaces because I want to see which one does best, okay? So I'm going to do green beans in bed 1 when the garlic comes out. In bed 4 where garlic is now, I'm going to do cherry tomatoes. And again, the reason why I'm doing cherry tomatoes is because it's right out here in my backyard. So if I need some for a salad or something like that, I can just run out here and get it versus going to the tunnel. So that's the thought process behind that. And then in bed 5, behind my garlic when it comes out, I'm gonna do yellow squash and zucchini. I have not done squash or zucchini back here in 2 years. When I first started gardening in 2020, I did my squash out here and it did great. The second year I did it in my tunnel, it did horrible. Last year I did it outside, it didn't do good. It did not do good. It did wonderful out here. So we're gonna go back here and see if we can have yet another good harvest, okay? So again, that's the mindset or how I picked what was going to go where, okay? So I won't walk you through all of it because it's a lot to talk about, but I just want you to get the gist of what I'm saying, okay, and how I'm coming up with it. The other thing is that my onions are going to be coming in. I ordered way more onions than I normally do because I ran out of onions within, like, I don't know, 3 months or so. So I'm buying onions from the store and from Azure Standard. So I need more onions, but I also need a space to put them. So the 2 beds that have flowers back here, the onions are gonna go there. So we'll probably be planting our onions the first week of March, somewhere around that time. So I have 2 beds there, but I have way more onions I've ordered that's not gonna fit in those 2 beds. So where are they going to go? The ideal place for them to go is going to be outside in my in-ground space, but we have to get that ground ready. So y'all pray for my husband that he'll help me get it ready, okay? But it's gonna go in the in-ground space that I did not use last year. That's why we got to get it ready. So it is a space, when you see my in-ground garden, there's 7 rows. On the far right was a space that we did not use, right? It was not covered with landscape, but then when, right before the fall, we covered it with landscape, and it has the whole spacing for onions. And you'll see that when we get out there. But the ground under it, I say the ground hasn't been worked. The ground was tilled and last year, but we didn't plant anything in it. So I got to go out there and check the ground to see if it's good to go. But anyway, that's where the bulk of the onions are going to go, is outside, because that's all I got left. That's all I got left, because I don't want to grow them in the tunnel. I tried that one year, that didn't go well. And the rest of my spacing outside is 18 inches apart. And with onions, you can do them 6 inches apart. So I would be wasting space trying to put them in the 18-inch spacing, if that makes sense, okay? But I do my onions in March, and I know that the onions only have like an 80 to 90 day maturity. So they're gonna be ready to come out probably mid-June, somewhere along in there. And so what can go behind it? So what's gonna go behind it is cucumbers in 1 bed, right? I've done cucumbers out here every year. They do extremely well, right? And I'll do like a different kind of cucumber than what I do in the greenhouse. And then also paste tomatoes. I'm gonna go out here. So I've already said, okay, that's where that stuff is gonna go. So essentially, that is what this gives you. It helps you to think about your space, what's gonna go where, and all of that. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have questions, put them down below. And again, I just had my assistant make these things on the computer. It ain't gotta be that fancy, right? Before she did it, I just drew the same shape on a piece of paper, and then I just had her made it on the computer so that once I get done, I can type it in and have a repository. That's it, okay? So have you a plan? Have a plan. So I'm gonna get finished. Like I said, I have a draft. I have something in every spot, and I see where I have some open spaces. So what I will do from here is I will think about what I'm planting, and now how many do I need? Now, we've already started seeds. You know, we've done 2 weeks of seed starting, but for the most part, we haven't done like the main things, right? So we've done like some of our herbs, excuse me. We've done celery, you know, some of the spring type crops. But when I say the main thing, like the tomatoes, the peppers, the eggplant, the okra, the squash and all that, we haven't done any of that yet. So we're still in good time to kind of plan how many of that we need, right? So I will think about how many do I need, and then how many of each variety. So the next iteration of this is that as I'm starting to think about starting seeds, we'll have a big seed starting day. Like, it's gonna get real big in the next week or so, because we're gonna be doing tomatoes and peppers. And so I already have like what I'm doing in a next week or so with eggplant, peppers, and all of that stuff. But this was just the initial grab. This was before I got all of my new seeds in. So now I will go through all of my new seeds and determine, okay, what kind of peppers am I doing? I probably got 20 different kinds of peppers. Do I want to do 20 different kinds? Do I only want to do 10 kinds? 10 kinds. So if I'm going to do the 10, how many of each do I want? Does that make sense? That'll be the next iteration. But for today, we're just going to come up with the plan. So at least we have an idea, a draft of where things are going to go. So I hope that that helps you. So before I finish this video, I want to show you a little bit more about some new seeds that I got, because who don't love new seeds? So this is a shout out to Row 7. Row 7 is a seed company that I have never tried, that I'm trying for the first time this year. It is a company made up of farmers, cooks, chefs, and all of that kind of stuff. So they have some really unique seeds that are really curated that I don't know that you're gonna find anywhere else, but it's just unique blends, right? I talked about them in my first seed haul, and I showed you some seeds that I was going to try, right? Well, somebody on the Row 7 team saw my video and they reached out and they said, hey, we're so excited. We really, really want you to try our seeds. Can we send you some seeds that you may be open to trying? And we just want to send you like a little, you know, little goodie bag. And I'm like, of course, absolutely. So thank you to Row 7. They're not sponsoring this video, but I just want to give honor where honor is due, as they used to say back in the old days. So they sent me some seeds. Plus I had already ordered some seeds from them, but they sent me more. So we'll take it, right? And then let me give you this. So if you saw my video, I guess 2 or 3 days ago, where we started some beets seeds. I did the Badger Flame beets. That was 4 days ago. Yeah, 4 days ago. I already have seeds germinate. That is the quickest I've ever seen beet seeds germinate. Like, I got good germination already. So Badger Flame beets, Row 7, so far so good. So let me show you this nice box they sent me. I've already opened it. They sent me a nice hat. We'll have to tighten that up, but y'all know I love a hat in the summertime to keep the sun on my face and to keep my hair intact. So nice hat that they sent me. See, I already messed up my hair. I gotta go to a dentist appointment, so trying to keep my hair intact. Okay, they sent me the Tegan lettuce, so we're gonna try that. Here is the Badger Flame beet that I talked about. This, I have heard, is like the best beet, even if you don't like beets. That's why I'm trying it. It is, let me read what it says. It says, sweetness of a beet without the polarizing earthiness. I'm here for it. Yes, it is here to redeem the beet's dirty reputation. I am here for it. Okay, then y'all look at this. Midnight Roma tomato. So it's a paste tomato, and then they sent me some recipe cards. Look at how that looks. Midnight Roma tomato sauce. So it's a paste tomato that's like really, really rich. I cannot wait to try that. That's definitely gonna be in the garden. The description on this says a deep purple red paste tomato that's packed with phytonutrients in the rows. It will stop you packed with phytonutrients, period. In the rows, it will stop you in your tracks. In the kitchen, this purple wonder shines for its quick cook time and memorably delicious flavor. So again, they have like this, just these unique blends and stuff. So I'm excited to try it. Then honey patch squash. I'm not a big butternut squash, but I'm gonna try this and see. It says, hold on, handheld deliciousness. So that means it must be like a small personal size squash. Bred to reimagine the, Lord, y'all got my glasses right here. Here. We don't have to struggle today. We don't have to struggle today. Oh, girl, now I can see. Handheld deliciousness, bred to reimagine the workaday butternut. Honey Patch packs stunning flavor, sweetness, and beta carotene into a storable single serving squash. We're gonna try it. Then Beauregard snow pea. I've never grown snow peas because I don't really know what to do with them. I mean, I don't know that I dislike them, but it's not anything that I'm like, ooh, let me cook some snow peas. So if you do snow peas, tell me what you do with them. I mean, I've seen them in dishes. I think they're usually like in maybe like a Thai or an Asian dish. I mean, I eat it, but I don't remember it having like a flavor. It's just, yeah. If you're a snow pea fan, tell me what you're doing with the snow peas. Okay, but I think it's so pretty though. It says bred to bring more flavor and more purple to purple peas. These high anthocyanin wavy potted snow peas hold their vibrant color when cooked. So that means they're gonna be purple when they're cooked. That would be nice. And only 60 days to maturity. So, Delfino cilantro, I showed you that before. What's this? Oh, sweet garlic. I gotta look that up and see what it is. I'm assuming it's some type of garlic chive or something like that, but we're gonna look that up. Oh, and I just noticed they put their germination rate on it as well. So like the germination rate for that is 90%, but it's on the back of every packet. I just noticed that. I love it when they do that, okay? So they sent me that. They sent me a nice note, and they sent me these recipe cards. So here's one for the sweet garlic marmalade. So that, and then Badger Flame beet slaw. I think that's nice. And then they sent me their little catalog. Oh, y'all, they sent a little book with all the stuff. So let's look up and see what this, oh yeah, so that's what the Tegan lettuce looks like. That's what the Badger Flame looks like there. I want to see. Oh. I got more. Okay, we'll get that. So these are ones that I had already ordered. Fast Lady Northern Southern Pea. It's a cowpea. A soil rejuvenating crop. So soil rejuvenating means it's going to put some stuff in the ground in our soil. I think peas are high in nitrogen and they put nitrogen in your soil. It's selected to be the fast growing in the field and deliciously creamy on the plate. Excellent freshly shelled or dried. Y'all know I love my purple whole peas, black eyed peas. So I cannot wait to try this. And then center cut squash. One of you guys told me about the center cut squash, and so I went and got it. It's like this long squash, I think, that grows on a vine. So we're gonna have to try that as well. There's the Beauregard snow pea. It does stay purple. Look at that. Look at that. Y'all, they got a lot of stuff. Okay. Oh, here's the center cut squash. Okay, y'all. Oh, y'all, here's the honey patch. Here's the honey patch. I'm so excited. Okay. Let me look at this. I'm gonna look at this because I don't want to just, go through the whole thing and you're like, oh, girl, you gonna end this video? I'm gonna end it. But I'm about to go through this book too. Well, I can't go through it now because I gotta go to the dentist. Okay. Thank you, row 7. We appreciate you. And then let me show you some other stuff that I got from Urban Farmer. Some new stuff. I got something called a sangria watermelon. It sounded so good. I was like, let me try that. And then I got 2 different kinds of peppers from Urban Farmer, a serrano pepper and sriracha pepper. Sriracha pepper I'm gonna use to make sriracha sauce instead of me trying to wait on my jalapenos to turn red, because I need all of my jalapenos green for jalapeno salt. So, anywho, I hope that talking about the crop plan inspires you to put some stuff down on paper and to get to it. And if you haven't bought all your seeds and you want to try some different varieties, go to row 7. Now, I haven't grown them, but we are going to grow them. But I love just the unique varieties, and it's something good to try that's new. So get you some and let's try it together, okay? All right, thank you guys so much. I got to get ready and go to the dentist, which is one of my least favorite things to do. If you're a dentist, don't come for me. I don't like y'all, but you are necessary, okay? So anyway, you guys have an amazing day when you see this. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.